In-depth review. Apple's iPad Air 2 and iPad mini 3 new iPads get Touch ID. Apple Pay. The new iPad Air 2 and iPad mini 3 both gain Apple's Touch ID fingerprint sensor for easy unlock, supporting activation lock without needing to regularly enter your passcode manually, and for purchasing through iTunes, just like last year's iPhone 5s. In addition, like this year's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, both new iPads also support Apple Pay within apps, thanks to the new secure element they incorporate. The new iPads do not support in-store Apple Pay via proximity wireless NFC, however, which currently only works on Apple's iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. Early next year, Apple Watch will enable iPhone 5 and 5s users to also make in-store Apple Pay purchases, but because those phones lack their own NFC secure element, they won't be able to authenticate in-app Apple Pay transactions as these new iPads can. Apart from the new Touch ID and Apple Pay, the more compact 7.9-inch iPad mini 3 is essentially identical to last year's Retina display iPad mini 2, although it does offer a new gold finish option in addition to silver and space gray, as well as the only 64GB and 128GB capacity options in the iPad mini form factor. Alongside the new iPad mini 3, Apple will continue to sell iPad mini 2 in 16GB or 32GB versions, or the original non-Retina iPad mini in a single 16GB option. The original iPad mini is powered by a less capable 32-bit A5 and is slightly thinner and lighter than subsequent Retina versions. All three iPad minis are offered in either Wi-Fi only or cellular versions. Apple will also continue to sell the original iPad Air from last year, in 16GB or 32GB versions. The original iPad Air is virtually identical in features to the smaller iPad mini 2, apart from having a higher quality display, albeit at the same Retina display resolution. Last year, Apple even advertised that the iPad Air and iPad mini 2 were essentially the same, offering users two screen options to fit their needs. This year, however, the iPad mini line is clearly focused at offering an affordable range of options catering to consumers and schools, across three different models, while the full-sized iPad Air 2 gains a series of major enhancements that render it a premium workhorse built with mobile professionals and enterprise users in mind. iPad Air 2 gets more mobile, while last year's iPad Air and iPad mini 2 were the same 7.5mm, 0.29 inches, deep. The larger dimensions of the full-sized 9.7-inch iPad Air made it feel more substantial. Even though it didn't really seem much heavier, that extra weight and volume negatively affected its all-day mobility for users carrying it around. To enhance the mobility of the full-size iPad, Apple shaved off 18% of its depth, making it thinner, at 6.1mm, than any other iPad, even the original non-Retina iPad mini, at 7.2mm, and even thinner than the much smaller iPhone 6, 6.9mm, or iPhone 6 Plus, 7.1mm. It's actually now as thin as the fifth generation, 5-inch iPod Touch. Every facet of the design of the new iPad Air 2 underscores Apple's focus on mobile utility, starting with its new lighter and thinner profile. It also gets more powerful processing, faster and better wireless networking, and a better camera. When you pick up the new iPad Air 2, it just feels right. The new super slim profile makes a big difference in how easy and comfortable it is to carry and hold.
Two sizes of iPad in the space between iPhones, which are getting larger, and conventional notebooks. Apple is cultivating iPad as what it now calls a magical sheet of glass, in just two sizes. It's notable that Apple didn't release a new tweener, sized 4.7-inch or 5.5-inch iPod Touch, or perhaps, iPad Nano, even though it gave its larger new iPhone 6 Plus some iPad-inspired user interface features. Apple's not firing out an endless array of scattershot screen sizes to see which one consumers might bite at. Instead, it's crafting specific experiences that target real-world users. By targeting only two physical screen sizes, and one logical resolution format and display ratio, for iPads, Apple is making it much easier for developers to deploy tablet-specific iPad apps. Apple's efforts to create a rich ecosystem of iPad apps deliver a strong differentiating feature over the large number of Android tablets that are designed to largely run stretched smartphone apps, or the hybrid tablet or 2-to-1 netbook PC devices that are intended to run Windows desktop apps, titles that aren't really designed to work well on a tablet scale. This restraint also makes it possible for Apple to focus its resources at delivering optimized, higher-quality products. iPad Air 2 now fuses its cover glass, touch sensor and display into a single bonded layer, eliminating the air gap between components and greatly reducing interior reflections. This also helps make the device thinner, while also rendering colors vividly and enhancing the contrast of images on the display. Apple has also developed an anti-reflective coating for iPad Air 2 that reduces surface glare by 56%, the company reports. This doesn't stop the surface from reflecting glare entirely. iPad Air 2 still appears to be more reflective than the glossy screen of a MacBook Air, for example, but it does reduce the mirror-like finish typical of iPads down to what looks more like the reflection of tinted windows. The end result is a significant reduction of distracting glare.